of educating, or even sometimes of entertaining potential customers about your products or about your services. So products can vary. It can be shoes, it can be sneakers. Services also vary. They can be banks, it can be educational institution, it can be a political party that is selling its ideas to potential voters. So that's advertising. Okay, so you mentioned public relations there. Okay, so public relations comes and works in hand with advertising. Advertising then is part of the marketing communication tools or marketing communication mix. Public relations, personal selling, advertising, these are tools that are all used in communicating or in effective communication, trying to sell an organization products or services. Okay. Then remember public relations. Public relations in simple terms is planned communication. You strategize how you're going to communicate with your publics, your external publics, your internal publics, your internal meaning your workers, the people that work for you, your external publics, these are any other people that you have a relationship with, such as banks, such as suppliers, such as customers. Okay, so public relations is part of the communication mix. If you go back to, if you're gonna look at core canvas for lesson 4 and 5, where we talk of integrated marketing communication, these are the things that we will talk about. Okay, so I'm gonna share my
Yes.
screen with you now. Is we move to lesson 6. Okay. So I will. Okay. So I'll be my video. I'll off my video so that you can all see the notes there. Okay. And I understand everybody can hear me clearly. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes.
Okay. So the purpose of this lesson. After this lesson, you should be able to understand what is pitch and how do advertising agents produce pitch and the procedures and the role of advertising agencies in the advertising industry. And you'll be able to understand the requirements under each heading of a brief. Okay, so we're gonna learn what is a brief, what advertising agencies do. Okay. So the role of advertising agents. Okay. So what is an advertising agents? An advertising agents, it's a company that specializes or deals with creation and planning of advertisements. Okay. So their main purpose is to create adverts. That's all. That's what they do. They research, they plan, they produce an advert. So let's say you have your company global company, and you're doing either you're producing maize meal and you want to advertise your maize meal to your potential customers in, let's say here in Durban, you approach advertising agencies, and these are the people that can help you come up with an advertisement. So your advertisement either it's going to be on radio, it's going to be on TV, or it's going to be in print, magazine, or newspapers. These are the people that are going to convert your idea that you have about an advert into an actual advertisement. So these are advertising agencies. This is what they do. Okay. So advertising agencies, they are made of different people, professional people, people with certain qualities, people that specialize in creating advertisements. So it's a body of experts. Okay. Usually, people that work in advertising agents are people like you. You have graphic designers, you have marketing people, all these different people. So they are combined to work as advertising agents. Okay. So they create campaigns in conjunction with the client. Okay. So advertising agents, they research on behalf of the client. So you as a client, you might approach them and say, okay, I have an idea. I want my advert to be a 30-second advert. I want it to be on TV. I want it to look like this and this and this. You tell them. Then they are going to create that advert and show it to you. So they create or they work under your control. You tell them what you want, or you give them ideas, then they work independently. Then they come to you and say, okay, this is what we have produced. So it's up to you now to approve it or say, no, I don't want this, improve this, things like that. Do you have any questions on advertising agencies?
No.
Okay. So now let's move on to what we call strategic collaboration. Okay. So what is strategic collaboration? This is when two different organizations are working together to achieve a common goal, to achieve an objective. Okay, so two companies come together and say, okay, what is our objective? Our objective is to come up with a good advertisement that we can air either on Metro FM or on Egagasin FM or any other radio station or television channel. Okay, so these two companies, they come together, they are working together for a common goal. Okay, so an example can be, if you go to your notes on point 2, there it says an example of strategic collaboration will be where an advertising agent and the client work together to create an advertisement or advertising campaign that communicates their business message. So a strategic collaboration, two companies working together to achieve a specific goal. In this instance, we're talking of advertising agents, and advertising agents that is working with, let's say, Spar or ShopRite to come up with an advertisement. So that's called a strategic collaborations. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
With strategic collaboration, is it because their advertisers are working with the company, or these are two companies that share a common goal, so therefore they choose to like work hand in hand or something like that?
These are two companies that are collaborating, or two companies that are working together. So a strategic collaboration doesn't have to necessarily be two companies in the same industry. I give you an example of Spar working with an advertising agents. Okay, let's say you, Spiwa, you've finished now, you've started your advertising agents. Then you are working with Spar, you're creating advertisements for Spar. So we call that a strategic collaboration. Why is it strategic? It is strategic because there is engagement to solve marketing problems. At the same time, you are creating advertising solutions. Okay, so once you are working with advertising agents, these are people of expertise. These are people with high levels of skills. These are people who are better to tell you the best way of making an advertisement. Okay. So what are the advantages now of working with advertising agencies? Okay. What are the advantages? Number one, we have what we call professional expertise. When you're dealing with advertising agents, you're dealing with people with expertise, high levels of competence. These are people with high levels of experience. They know how to produce an advert. They employ people with versatile skills so that they can be able to produce what customers want. Okay, so they ensure that they develop a very concrete and valuable product for their clients. Okay, and remember, advertising agencies, their goals is to serve, to establish business objectives or outcomes that outline the objectives of a client. Okay, so we are saying advertising agencies, they are very professional. So that's an advantage. That it is important to work with these people because they'll offer you professional expertise. Okay. Number two, there's objectivity. Okay. Point number one, they say, is clients expect advertising agencies to guide them in navigating the market and consumer trends, as well as obtain feedback about consumer response. Objective is an important consideration for accurate and measurable feedback. Advertising agencies are able to go out and research on your behalf. Let's say you have your company, you're approaching advertising agents. They will say, okay, you want this advertisement. Before they produce the advertisement, they will do a research. They need to find out what are the trends, what is your competitor doing, what is it that is happening right now, what is fashionable right now. So they will do all that research on your behalf. And usually they will give you unbiased feedback. They will tell you as it is. Either you need to improve on your product, on the packaging, or on the features of the product, things like that. Okay. So the most important thing there on the objectivity is advertising agencies. The work is they are independent people. Okay, they are not attached to your company. They are not attached to the client's company. They are independent. So once someone is independent, is chances are high that he won't be biased. Okay. Then we also have dedication and commitment. Advertising agencies world over, they are dedicated, they are committed because this is what they do. Okay. Remember, these are professional service providers that create adverts for different clients. So they are always dedicated to that because this is their industry. This is where they eat. Okay. And also they provide what we call specialist services. Okay. Uh, By specialist services, what do you understand? No wonder. Specialist services, what do you understand?
Specialist services. I haven't gone through that one.
Okay. When you say in a specialist, in general terms, a specialist is someone who specializes in an area in one particular field, isn't it? You can think of your doctors, medical doctors. In medicine, we have specialists. There are those that deal with the heart, and we have those that specialize with the bones, the human anatomy. Then we have also those that specialize with brain. This is their area of specialty. If you ask them about your fingers or anything, they don't know anything. But if you ask them about your brain, how your head operates, they know. So this is area of specialization. Just like a journalist can specialize in sports, some specialize in political news, some specialize in entertainment. That's their area of specialty. Okay. So just like advertising agencies, they can specialize. Okay. If we look there, it says an advertising agents can provide specialist services to offer their clients the best solutions in terms of the specific advertisement requirements and needs. These services can include number one, statisticians, strategic planners, media planners, event coordinators, market researchers, designers, promotions and direct marketing experts, and brand managers. As you can, if you skim through that list there, you can actually tell these are different people. A media planner is different from an event coordinator. An event coordinator is different from a market researcher, from a designer. Okay, so these are all areas that of specialty that an advertising agent can specialize on. Okay, so now selecting an advertising agents. How do we then select an advertising agent? If you think of this, here in Durban, we have so many advertising agents. These companies, advertising agent companies, there are so many. You can choose which one that you want to work with. Okay, so choosing one usually depends with the experience. It depends with your budget. It also depends with area of specialty that you wanna specialize in. Okay, because we have advertising agencies that only do maybe radio and TV ads only. They don't do newspaper, they don't do magazine, they don't do that. They only specialize in radio, in motion pictures from film, radio, TV, social media, anything to do with motion, moving videos. Okay. So selecting the right advertising agents, it is important as this would determine the effectiveness and success of that, remember that strategic collaboration. Okay, so the most popular way to select an advertising agent is based on the evaluation of the advertising agent's creative presentation. Okay, so when you're approaching an advertising agent, you can approach as many as you want. You tell them what you want, what kind of an advertisement that you want. Then the advertising agents will present to you their creative presentation. Okay, that now we call it pitch procedure. This is when an advertising agent come to you as a client and say, okay, you've told us what you want. We are going to present to you so that you can see what we have come up with. Okay. So for instance, let's say you've told them, okay, I want my advert to be 10 seconds. We're advertising cars, things like that. The advertising agents will go, will do their research, they'll produce whatever, they'll produce a video, then they come to you and say, okay, let's present to you what we have come up with. Okay, so that's what we call a pitch. A pitch, okay, a company is presenting a pitch. Okay, so how best do advertising agents present their pitch? Okay, if you go to your book there, if you refer to table 2.1, you will see the guidelines of how advertising agents present their pitch procedures or the best pitch procedures. Okay. On table 2.1, it will summarize succinctly everything about how to present a pitch. Okay. Let's see. Do you have any questions?
No.
No questions. So
no
questions.
Okay. So do we understand now what an advertising agent is?
Yes.
Okay, that's good then. So now what we're gonna do now, we're gonna move on to our last lesson. We're gonna move on to lesson 7. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. You can see my screen, isn't it? Can you see my screen?
Oh, we can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't see. Okay. I'll share it with you. Just a moment. Okay. There we are. I'm sure you can see now.
I can see.
Okay. Okay. So this is advertising campaign now. Okay. So remember we talked about advertising agents. We said these are independent companies that produce advertisements, isn't it? So I said, let's say you have your company, you want to come up with an advertisement. You can approach advertising agent companies to say, okay, I need to produce a company. I need to produce an advertisement for my product or for my service. It's just like when, for instance, when Boston wants to advertise on SABC, they might approach a different advertising agents and say, okay, we want you to create a 30-second campaign about Boston. Then the advertising agents can do that. So you can approach different advertising agencies. Then all these different advertising agents, they can come to you and present before you make a final decision which one you are going to choose. They'll come to you and say, okay, this is what we have produced. They do their presentation. The next agents do their presentation until you are satisfied with, okay, let's go with this company. This one has produced a good advert. Okay, so are we good on that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to our lesson 7, advertising campaign. Okay, so you need to understand the elements of a client's advertising brief. Okay, after this, you also need to understand what is an advertising campaign and how you can develop an advertising campaign. Okay, so you need to develop an effective advertising campaign. And finally, you need to understand factors that are considered in a creative brief. Okay. So developing effective advertising campaign. Okay. How do we develop a very good, solid advertising campaign? Okay. So just creating an advertisement, it sounds so simple. It sounds so ABC, but it's not enough. You have to create something that will make a significant impact. Think of adverts that you have seen on TV. There are so many different, but there are those that are outstanding that you still remember up to now, even those that you have seen when you were so young. Okay. That means
Yes.
that advertisement was so powerful. That means that advertisement was so significant. It created a memory with you. So that means that was a powerful advertisement. Then there's those advertisements that you even see today. By tomorrow, you can't even remember it because it wasn't that good. Okay. I'm not sure if you are so used to these, chicken licking adverts.
Yes, yes. They're like a movie.
Yes, and they are so funny, and they create they
Yes.
create an impression that whenever that advert come, you'd like, let me see it. You won't change the channel, isn't it?
Yes.
Then there are those adverts that when they come on TV, you'll be like, where's the remote?
Like clientele say.
Yes. Okay. But we're gonna learn more about those type of advertisements. Okay, as we proceed, the information type of advertisement. Okay. So
Yes.
in order to create an advertising campaign that is solid, you need to develop a good strategy. Okay, in order to achieve those goals. Okay. So the advertiser, which is the client, and the advertising agent should collaborate or should work together to develop an advertising campaign. Okay, so there are different stages in this process. Okay, when you're working together with an advertising agent to create an advertising campaign, there are different stages. Okay, the first is the client brief. Okay, so the client brief defines the strength of the advertiser's brand, the competitor's brand, and the market factors that impact the brand specific objectives of the communications and marketing strategy. Okay, what does that statement say? The statement is saying the client brief. This is when you as a client, yeah, you are telling the advertising agents about your brand, your competitor, your market, yeah, your specific objectives of communication. Why are you doing this advertising campaign? Okay, you need to tell them all these things so that they can be able to fit and benchmark your product. Okay, so let's look at this table. So the following table is going to provide information that should be given uh, to the advertising agents by the client. Okay, so number one, like I said, the market. This you need to explain about the market, your brand positioning. Where is your product positioned? The consumer trends that may influence your brand in the market. Okay. In simpler terms, they're saying the client, you should tell the advertising agents, okay, we specialize in dealing with the youths. So our market is for the youths. Okay. Uh Simpio, you have a question.
Oh, I was gonna ask with the strength and the competitors, and you have to communicate about with the client as an agent. My question is,
Okay. What was it, a question or a comment?
oh, it's actually the case that we're working on.
I can't hear you.
That's it's about the aspects that you have to talk about with the client as an advertiser.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was asking, were those the elements that we were talking about? Because you said we are going to talk about elements.
Yes.
We'll talk about the brief, like the elements
Yes.
of the brief.
Yes.
So were those the elements, the strength, the competitor,
Yes.
and
Correct.
okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then what are the other elements that you will talk about is you, the client, talking to the advertising. Okay. We said the market, number one. Number two, the competition. You need to tell the advertising agents who is your competitor. By competitor, this means the very same people, the very same organizations or companies that are producing the same product that you are selling. Okay, so if say you have your
Yes.
brand of cell phone, let's say you're Samsung and you want to create an advert, an advertising agency is asking you, okay, tell us about your competitor. You tell them, okay, our competitor Samsung What's the name of that Chinese phone?
Hawaii.
Yes, that one. Then you say, okay, these are our competitors because we resemble so close. Why do we tell about our competitors? Okay, it is important because if you provide your competitor analysis, this provides with your strength, the strength of the competitor, the weakness of the competitor, and the threats posed to the advertiser. Okay, by the competitor. Because you're going to analyze and say, okay, so this Chinese phone is doing this. Your advertising agents will advise you, okay, so as we advertise, we're not going to take this route. That's why you see every advert is so different from any other advert from the same brand. If Samsung is advertising, they will have a different advertising. If that Chinese phone is advertising, it will have a difference. Um, it will also have a different ad. Okay. Hey, some people will say it's not good to continue saying Chinese phone. It sounds like I'm deleting the phone, isn't it? The reason is I can't. The reason is if you are using it, I'm not saying it's bad. The reason is I can't just pronounce it. How do you pronounce it?
It's Huawei.
Huawei.
It's Huawei. Yeah, Huawei. It's not like
Huawei.
Hawaii. Yeah,
It's Hawaii. Hawaii.
yeah.
You see, we once had this conversation about how do you pronounce it. So me, I couldn't. Hey, I said, well, from today I'll just say that Chinese phone because I can't pronounce it. Some they say it's Huawei, some say Huawei, some say wow. I don't know
It's
now.
Hawaii.
So, hey, Angas. Okay. So the other one is the brand. Okay, so you need to tell your advertising agents about your brand. Brand information includes your history, your sales trends, your market share, your brand awareness, brand loyalty, brand support, and brand usage. Basically, the brand, when they say brand history, they need you to the pedigree, like how your sales. If you're into, let's say you're selling your sneakers, they need to understand, okay, a month, how many sneakers are you selling? Who is your target market? Remember, are you targeting those who reside in Mlazi? Are you targeting those who reside in Gauteng? Are you targeting those who are residing in Tshwane? Who are you targeting? Okay, so all these things the advertising agents need to understand. Okay, then positioning. Brand positioning in relation to competitors forms the basis of marketing. Uh, if any of you do public relations or marketing,
Public relations. Yeah.
okay, what is positioning? When you talk of brand positioning, what is it?
When you talk about brand positioning,
Correct.
hey, I'm not sure. Brand image, brand is. I'm not.
I think brand positioning is how you it's how you want the consumers to it's the first thing you want the consumers to think about when they hear about the brand of about the products.
Correct. That's excellent. Okay, well done. So positioning basically, like what you're saying, it's about the mind. It refers to, you know, to the place that a brand occupies in the minds of the customers and how it is distinguished from the products of the competitors and different from the concept of brand awareness. So brand positioning is how your product, how do people view your product? Okay, so that's brand positioning. So that one is very, very important because now, how do people view McDonald's? How do people view Nike or Adidas? How do people view any other companies? That's very important. Okay, so you need to understand brand positioning in relation also now to your competitors. Okay, if we put Burger King and McDonald's, what are the thoughts? What are the train of thoughts that consumers have on these two bigger producers or on these two bigger uh, marketers? Okay. Distribution.
Yes.
Distribution relates to distribution channel, channel support, channel promotion, logistics, and merchandising. Basically, your logistical industry. Who distribute what, where, how, when do you distribute it? You distribute it via which channels? Okay. Then pricing. Advertising agencies should be briefed about the advertising pricing structure. Okay. They need to know because they can't just create an advert and they don't know how much you're charging that textbook that you're advertising or that model or phone that you're advertising. Okay, so advertising agents need to know, okay, we are going to advertise your iPhone 11. How much is this phone? Okay. Then promotion. The advertiser should provide information about above the line and below the line advertising requirements to the advertising agents. This gives insight into how the advertiser or client plans to promote their organization, branding, your products or services. Okay. Who knows what above the line advertisement is? Hmm?
We can't hear you properly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Can't hear you properly.
So we can't hear.
Oh, I don't know what's happening with my Wi-Fi. But can you hear me now?
It's the network.
Yes, the network. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, my network, because I'm actually on campus and we don't have power this side, so I'm using my phone.
No power.
Yeah, we don't have electricity this side. Okay.
Where are you, sir?
Yeah?
On the campus.
I'm on the campus. On campus right now.
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was saying, does anyone know what above the line and below the line advertising is?
Above the line and below the line advertising? I don't have any idea.
Okay. Okay, so above the line, it means the advertising is going to be deployed around a wider target. Above the line, it means advertisements that will use television, radio, or billboards. Okay. Below the line advertisement basically suggests that the advertising is going to target a specific group of potential consumers. Can you see the difference?
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah, so below the line, I say it's going to target a specific group of potential consumers. It's not at a mass scale. Above the line, it's on a mass scale because it's going to be on TV. It's going to be on radio. Okay.
So everyone is gonna see.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move. Can you see my screen there?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So now let's look at the strategic planning process. Okay. So the strategic planning process follows the details presented in the client brief. And you've done your client brief. You've done all this. You did tell your advertising agents about everything, about the market, the competition, the brand, positioning, distribution. Now you move on to the strategic planning now. So it's very important. In simple terms, whenever you see the word strategic, it means it's something to do with planning, isn't it? So, because a strategy, it's a plan. It's a solid plan. It's a creative plan. Okay. So the strategic planning process, it follows the details that you have presented in the client brief. Okay. And this is, the client brief is usually prepared by the advertiser's marketing director or brand manager. It all depends with the company. Okay. So the advertising agents, they receive the client brief that you have presented, this one, they receive it, isn't it? Then they open a job for you. Okay, Simpiwe firm, they've given us their client brief. This is what they've given us. So, okay, it's going to be job number 3. or job number 10, whatever. Okay. The
Yeah.
purpose of using these job numbers is to always keep track of projects and tasks, isn't it? Okay. So now you
Yeah, bro.
proceed now. Okay. Now I have my no quanta brief. I am this the advertising agents. I'm going to proceed now into strategic planning process. Okay. So the advertising strategy links the advertiser, brand, the agent's creative and media strategies, and the target audience. Now I know the target audience. Okay. Our advertisement, we are going to target university students. We are going to target pensioners, or we are going to target children. Isn't it? We're strategizing now. So the strategic planning process is made up of a number of steps and includes the following. Number one, you research. Consumer research. You, the advertising agents now, you research about the consumers. You test and pre-campaign concepts. Testing during and after the campaign, then you do desk research into market trends. Desk research is basically you take your laptop or your computer, you log into internet, you are researching on Facebook, Twitter, social networks about the market trends. What is it people that are buying now? Are people buying Adidas, or are people buying Nike, or are people buying the Yeezy? Are people buying iPhone? What is it that they are buying in relation to what your client is giving you that you want to produce as an advertisement? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. Consumer research, you research again the consumer. That means who's the consumer, the taste of the consumer, their likes, their preferences, all these things you test. Okay. Then you move on to competitor and brand reviews. You analyze your competitor. You analyze your competitor strategies in brand communications and brand positioning. What is it that they are doing? You are from Burger King, you advertise, you need to find out what McDonald's is doing. What is the brand positioning of McDonald's? How are they communicating with their consumers? How do they advertise? What is their strategy? What is it that they are using? Are they using Facebook? Are they using Instagram? Things like that, isn't it? Then you strategically look at the future of the competitor brands and the measurement of brand equity and brand value. Do we know what brand equity is?
I think I've heard of the name. I don't recall what it is.
Yeah.
Brand equity. I think I've heard about it.
You don't want to try?
Yes, so can you please try to tell us?
you don't want to try?
Say, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me?
Now we hear
Yes,
you.
we do now.
Oh, hey, it's bad network, I think. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, we were still on equity.
Okay, let me see. Where were we? Okay. Okay, brand equity and brand value is, and that was my question to you. What is brand equity and what is brand value? Okay. You're gonna tell me tomorrow on our next lesson. We are having a next lesson tomorrow around 10. You're gonna tell me what is brand equity and what is brand value. That's your homework. Okay.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm gonna ask you tomorrow before we start is what is brand equity and what is brand value?
All right.
Yeah. So we are saying here, you as the advertising agents now is doing all this on your behalf. Then they look at communication strategy. Okay. They strategize and develop communication strategy. This needs to be approved by the client before the creative brief can be developed. Okay. So when an advertising agent come up with a communication strategy, the client has to approve it. So, okay, this communication strategy, I think it's good. A communication strategy can be, you might say, okay, we want to use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Then you have to approach your client and ask, is it okay with you? If they say, okay, it's fine, then you go ahead and proceed with your planning. Okay. Now, we move on to the creative brief. Okay. So the creative brief, it combines those first two steps in an action plan for the development of brand communication. Remember our first plan? What was our first plan?
Brief. Client brief.
And the other one?
The other one is strategic planning process.
Yes. So now the creative brief now works hand in hand, or it integrates, meaning it combines these first two into action now. Okay. So for the development of all the brand communication, you integrate, you combine those two. As we move to creative brief. Okay. So now under this creative brief now, this can include the marketing communication mix that I talked about. Advertising, promotion, publicity, PR, direct response marketing, and events. Okay, so the creative brief consists of three elements. Number one, strategy. Number two, desired brand equity or value. Number three, creative guidelines for the brief. Okay, so we are saying the creative brief, it consists of three important elements: strategy, desired brand equity or value, creative guidelines for the brief. Number one, strategy. In this now, you define your target audience. How do they feel? How do they behave? What is it that they want? Okay. On the strategy again, you define the objective or the goal of the advertising campaign that you want to create, and the brand promise that you create a link between the consumers and the advertiser's brand. Okay, so as an advertising agent, you're telling the client that, okay, this strategy that you're going to use is going to create a link between you and your consumers. It is important then to understand that a strategy is made up of observations, of communication objective, consumer insight, the consumer promise, support, and target audience. Observation, that means the things that you see, things that you observe. And the communication objective, what is the objective of this advertisement that we are creating? Consumer insight. What kind of consumers we're going to deal with? What is it that they like? The preferences, the do's, the don'ts, things like that. And the consumer promise. What is it that you are promising the consumer through your communication message, which is your advertisement? Okay. So there are factors to be considered in the creative brief. Key observation, like I was explaining, describe the most important market and consumer factors. Then also communication objective. What is the purpose? The consumer insight, the emotion, the reaction, the feeling, the like, preference. Then the consumer promise, the link between the consumer and the brand. Does the brand present the consumer? When you're doing your advertising, does it have the consumer in mind? Okay, so consumer insight is very important. Let me give you an example maybe so that you understand clearly by consumer insight. Imagine if you are going to advertise any pork-related food to Muslim people. Do you think it's going to work?
No, it's not going to appeal to them.
Exactly. So that means you didn't have consumer insight. You didn't have a vision there. Because Muslims, they don't eat pork. So you need to have that information, you need to research and lead you to consumer insight. Okay. Then your support, obvious. The reason the brand evokes consumer belief. Then your audience. To whom are we speaking? To whom are we targeting? How do they perceive and think about the brand? Okay. Okay, then we move on to desired brand equity. Okay, I didn't want to tell you this, but anyway, since I wanted you to go and research. Okay, so brand equity refers to a value premium that a company generates from a product with a recognizable name when compared to a generic equivalent. Companies can create brand equity for their products by making them memorable, easily recognizable, and superior in quality and reliability. Let me give you a good example of what is brand equity. Think of an iPhone. iPhone number one is easily recognizable.
Yes.
And iPhone has made a brand equity so special to the extent that everybody knows iPhone is it's an original phone. Once you see any other phone, you can tell, no, this is not iPhone, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell
So it has created a memory. It has created a superior phone over any other phones. And we all know iPhones, though, they're very reliable. It can last, isn't it? So that's a brand equity. The value that iPhone has created amongst its customers and potential customers is undeniable.
Yeah.
So whenever you think of Apple, you know this company, you know it for originality, you know it for
For advanced software.
yes, advanced software. They use their own operating system. You can't you can't connect an iPhone to a dubious Bluetooth speaker. It won't it won't recognize that, isn't it?
You can't play it on a speaker.
Yes. So that's the brand equity, the value, that premium that company generates from its product. So we all know now Apple is a top class, top quality company. Okay.
Yes. Can we say like another example is Coca-Cola, since we were talking about brand equity?
Mhm. Justify
Can
why
you
you
say,
say that? Can you justify why you
or
say Coca-Cola?
or it's because it stands out like out of all the cool drinks? For example, mostly it's targeting like the youth and also gravitate towards old people because that's mostly their preference when it comes to cold drinks for those who are still drinking cold drinks.
Correct.
And also coming to its advertisement, it's always like something you can remember all the time. It's more like there's always a season for it and they have specific nice advertisement and all that.
Correct. It's always Coca-Cola. That line. The moment you see the Coca-Cola brand or Coca-Cola logo, you easily identify it with soft drinks. And
Yes.
I'm not sure, maybe I'm not sure about it, but I think Coca-Cola is the most famous company on planet Earth
Yes, it's the most famous one.
because you find it from Africa, Asia, Europe, America, you know, from
Yes.
from Algeria to Zimbabwe. There is no country without a Coca-Cola product.
Yeah, so that's another thing because of the reputation also. So its name like really stands out.
Correct. And the value that has been created is when you walk in ShopRite or Spar, if you want a cold drink, the first thing is you're going to look at Coca-Cola products. These other ones you might buy because you're broke.
Yes, yes.
But
Yeah,
you but obviously you would prefer a Coca-Cola product. But due now to
yeah.
financial circumstances, you might be ending up
And
buying what you call these other ones? I don't know their names. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So brand equity, it describes the level of sway a brand has in the minds of the consumers. That swagger,
Yeah.
that power, those train of thoughts that are so beautiful when you attach them to a product. That's brand equity. So brand equity can be determined by the way consumers think, feels about the brand, its price, market, things like that. We all know an iPhone is very expensive, but we always justify that. Hey, it, it deserves to be that expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. It might have, if you look maybe at different models, they might have 12 megapixel camera, but the quality of the pictures is different from a Huawei that has 35 megapixel. I don't know if you,
Yes.
okay. So that's what we're talking about there. Okay. So in creative now, there are creative guidelines. Let's talk about that. Guidelines, remember, these are the processes, the rules, the don'ts, and the do's that are used to define how advertisements are created and how to be enforced by media, okay, such as brand logos in advertising messages. Creative guidelines provide creative team with a clear outline about the attitude, approach, and tone the advertising should adopt to create the desired brand equity. So creative guidelines are very important. I don't know how young you are or how old you are, but if you remember the very first days when HIV and AIDS was still, was still so scary, they used to advertise with a very horrific, horror, gory sound.
Yeah, I think I've seen that advertisement.
Yes, yes. Where they say they will be advertising HIV and AIDS, then they put a very gory, very sad, very fearful sound that
Yeah.
you would feel like, well, if I get this thing, I'm dead. The idea, okay, the idea there was to create a memory, was to create that if you don't condomize or if you don't practice safe sex, you are going to die.
Yeah.
You get HIV and AIDS. But now we have moved away from that. They no longer advertise like that. Because now with new research, it is actually shown no, with HIV, it's not a death sentence. You can actually live your life.
Yes.
But the early days, they would do that. They will scare you. They will put fear in you. Okay. So
Yes.
all that was guided by, there should be creative guidelines. I'm bringing this the example that I gave you. It's because on the creative guidelines, they say it should outline the tone of the advertising. What tone are we going to adapt? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be sad? Is it going to be just normal? Okay. So the creative brief is prepared by the advertiser or client and should aim to answer the following 8 questions. So the creative brief should be able to answer these. Why do we want to advertise? Why do we want new advertising? Who are we talking to? What effect should the advertising have on the consumer? What is the single most persuasive benefit we can offer? Why should the consumer believe the advertising message? What are the executional arrangements? How should the advertisement be carried out? What are the practical considerations? Who is the authority? All these questions should be answered in the creative brief. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then, okay, so we're gonna continue, let's see. We're gonna continue tomorrow as we move on. We'll start from the plans board, then we move on to the media and creative concepts. Okay. So for now, do you have any other questions that you didn't understand so that we can discuss your questions before we close our lesson?
No, I don't have any questions.
Simpiwe?
No questions so far. No questions.
Okay, so guys, it is very, very, very important that you attend these lessons because now look, we are on lesson 6, and I'm sure you were kind of confused because you didn't grasp all these other lessons that we did. So hopefully it's a beginning that you would attend all the lessons. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So the notes are there on Core Campus. You can always like today, all this that we've discussed today, just make sure when you go when you're studying, go through the notes, write down anything that you don't understand, put it on paper. Tomorrow when we start our lesson, you can always ask me questions. You can tell me, okay, please let's go back to this I didn't understand. I can always assist you. I'm here to assist you to make sure that you get all the distinctions beautifully, graduate, then you move on. Okay.
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 I didn't introduce properly myself. Okay, some people you were not there when we were introduced. So my name is Clifford.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is it that you want to know?
Okay. No, so you can just tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're doing besides lecturing us. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Cliff. I stay here in Durban. Uh, okay, I know students usually wants to know how qualified you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Yes. That also, but yeah, that also. But yeah, that also. But this
Okay, I'll tell you all that. Okay, so uh, well, I'm an advertising guru. I've worked in the advertising agency before. I did my internship with ETV.
Oh,
Hmm.
Currently, I'm
that's
doing,
that's
yeah, so currently I'm doing my PhD with UKZN.
oh,
Uh,
that's great.
I have a diploma in mass communication. I have an honors degree in media and society studies. I have a master's degree in media and communication studies, UKZN. So now I'm in my second year
Yeah.
doing PhD. Uh,
Yeah.
I've been lecturing for the past 3 years now. Uh,
Yes.
so my area of expertise is public relations, advertising, marketing, media and
Yeah.
journalism, and a little bit
Yeah.
of graphic design as well. So
Oh,
yeah, so that's me.
but
So you
but
simply
with
what is it that you want to do when you're done?
oh, hey, so, I'm an artist, so that's what I do. Actually, I've currently started working like on building myself a company.
Mm,
So a company that can be able to manage artists, not a record label per se, but like a company that will have all aspects, including the PRs, advertising, uh, yeah, and
okay.
also yeah. But then so now I thought I should, because I was studying media, then I chilled for a year again to rethink about it, and then I came back this year. So I came back because I saw that to have not only the qualification but to understand and to also know the skills. So if I wanna lead these people, or I want to have this sort of company, then I should know each and every aspect I'm dealing with, what this person is doing. I shouldn't ask from them what they're doing. And when everything is not going all right, I'm stressed also. So at least if I have a little bit of what they're doing, then it will be able for me to manage the whole crew moving forward.
Correct, correct. They say education, it gives you the knowledge, it gives you the power to identify the negatives, the positives. So as you build your company with the background and the knowledge that you're gonna acquire from this education, this is like if you
Yeah.
walk in a meeting, you're gonna understand, okay, this is a creative brief. This is what we do.
Yes.
We don't do it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you are
Yes.
wrong. We don't do it like that. Okay. So Nokwanda, and Nokwanda,
Yes.
what do you do or what do you want to achieve when you're done, graduated? What is it that you want to do?
Okay, let me start by okay. So I just matriculated on 2018 and I started Boston on 2019.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my third year now, majoring on television production. So I'm looking forward to 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 being a media practitioner,
Wow. Okay, that's great.
professional one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
I
So
also say I wanted to ask, I'm sorry. like with all the qualifications and the skills that you've attained so far, like so where like which direction are you going in? Because you told me that you're doing PR, but what's the whole end goal of what you wanna do?
Oh, okay, yeah. For me, it's me. I'm in academia, meaning me. I'm an
Oh
academic
yeah.
person. So like like last day I was doing part-time with UKZN lecturing the honors students. I also
Mm,
do publications. I write a lot of academic pieces. So academic,
okay.
that's my world.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I
So
catch.
so basically, like, because you see, like the media industry is very broad. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So within the media industry, we have people like you. Then we have journalists, we have graphic designers, all these people. This is media. So the advantage of
Yes.
having a qualification in media is you can venture into a lot of things. Okay, like simply doing TV, isn't it? Um,
Yes, I
Yes.
also do.
oh, you also do
Oh,
TV.
splendid.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Honestly, you're doing also TV. You say TV, isn't it?
just doing TV.
Yes. TV is an advantage. Once you get there, it gives you the first shine. It gives you that publicity. It will be easier for you
Yeah.
to network and connect with people. Just like in the arts industry. Once you do two, three, five things and people note, oh, okay, these people can handle our contracts in a better way, you are done. You get a lot of clients, you get a lot of people. So it's very important that most important thing now is you should not fail. You should pass, then you go.
Ah,
Yes.
And I told the other students, the other four students that usually attend, like I've never ever teach or taught anyone who has failed.
Mm.
how?
So meaning you guys should not fail, irregardless of the circumstance. You should not fail. Okay.
Mm.
And I'll be
Yes.
here to support you. The other thing that before I forget, and you did get your SMSCs for the workshop.
Yeah. For advertisement though, let me check. I'm not sure for advertising, but we got some
Which workshop?
messages.
Advertising workshop?
Yes.
No, I haven't. Me.
Yeah, but
Oh, we haven't got the one for advertising.
okay, because we should have a workshop. I think it will be on Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but I'll confirm which date in I'm sure after the 15th. After the 15th, we'll be starting with the workshops. So it will be very good. Then we can have face-to-face interaction when you come through.
All right.
And I see the assignment has been an assignment that has been posted on Core Campus. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll also discuss that. Okay. So as you go through that assignment, I'm here to help you out. Okay. So tomorrow we'll discuss also a little bit of that assignment. I'll tell you how to tackle the questions, how to answer, and I'll explain to you what's the difference between a question that says discuss and a question that says explain, or a question that says identify. There's a difference between explaining and discussing or describing. Okay.
All right. So.
Right. So if you don't have any questions, I'm sure we can call it